So, I like detective shows, so I want to give you guys a chance to do what I do and call out things before they happen. So, I need 3 people, 3 good readers, 3 good readers, like people that can speak out loud and be okay with that. But I need you guys to be really clear with these 3
caps. Don't know how to read.
So, Luke 19, 1 through 4. Who can read that for me? The NASB version, Luke 19, 1 through 4. Megan. Second one is Mark 2, 1 through 4. Josie.
Mark 2, 1 through 4.
Mark 2, 1 through 4. And then the third one is Mark 5, 24 through 29.
I'll do it.
Katrina. Oh, I'm sorry. Doesn't matter. One of you guys.
Mark
Katrina.
5,
Rock, paper, scissors.
Mark 5, 24 through 29. Yes. So, read them loud, read them clear. But what I want you guys to do is I want everybody to try to figure out what's in these stories that correlate, that are similar. Courtney, you cannot answer. Manny, you cannot answer either because I told you about this right when I learned about it. Shane, you can't either.
9 or 19?
Mark 19, 1 through 4. I mean Luke, I'm sorry, Luke 19, 1 through 4. NASB. So, read those, the NAS version. But yeah, we're going to figure out what the correlation is between all these things. We're going to figure out what is similar. So, go ahead. Megan.
Okay. He entered Jericho and was passing through. And there was a man...
Talking about Jesus.
Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. And there was a man called by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and he was rich. Zacchaeus was trying to see who Jesus was and was unable to because of the crowd, for he was small in stature. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree in order to see him, for he was about to pass through that way.
Okay. Next one, Mark 2, 1 through 4.
A few days later, Jesus came back to Capernaum. The news spread that he was back home. A large crowd gathered to hear him speak. The house was so full that there was no place to stand, not even outside the door. While Jesus was teaching, some people brought a paralyzed man to see him. He was being carried by 4 of them. But they could not get the man inside to Jesus because the house was so full of people. So they went to the roof above Jesus and made a hole in it. Then they lowered the mat with the paralyzed man on it.
Next one.
And he went off with him, and a large crowd was following him, Jesus, and pressing in upon him. A woman who had had a hemorrhage for 12 years, and had endured much at the hands of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was not helped at all, but rather had grown worse. After hearing about Jesus, she came up in the crowd behind him and touched his cloak. For she thought, if I just touch his garments, I will get well. Immediately the flow of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction.
So, first one's Zacchaeus. Second one is the man whose friends lowered him through the roof. The third one is the woman who touched Jesus' cloak. Don't think about the people. I'm not talking about the people. I'm going to give you that first hint. It's not about the people.
The people
It's about,
like those getting.
It's not about the 3 main characters that you just got. It's about the story, the plot. What about that is similar? Shane, put your hand down. Wesley.
It's people going to extreme lengths to get to Jesus.
So no, but that is what happens. Yes, that's like, and the thing is, you hear messages about that all the time, and I've heard like 1,000 messages on it, and that's a super good message, but that's not the one I'm giving today. But yes, close but no cigar. Not the one I'm talking about.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but I'm wrong, so I can't say
Okay.
that.
Anybody else? Close but no cigar. Who has cigars and where can I get one? Anybody else?
No.
Anybody? So, think about the plot, the
Wait, it doesn't
storyline.
have to do with the characters?
Doesn't have to do with the main characters.
But they are the main plot.
No. Think about the storyline. The story. Like what happens in the story that's similar in all 3.
They
all got in connection with Jesus.
They got what they were looking for.
What happens in the story that's similar? What?
What do they all
Yes,
do?
but no.
Jesus is there.
Jesus is there. That's also similarity, but not what we're talking
They
about.
find what they're looking for.
No, so
Large crowd.
They're all
what?
Large crowd.
Boom, dude, the crowd. So I want to preach. Can I preach? I want to preach it. I'm gonna preach. Let me give it to you. So, Connie, good freaking job. So,
Wait, what was the scripture?
huh? The scriptures were
Why are you laughing at me?
the scriptures were Luke 19, 1 through 4, Mark 2, 1 through 4, Mark 5, 24 through 29. So the similarity between all three of them was that the crowd was too large for these people to get inside of it. Not only that, the crowd was... What are you laughing at, Megan? I'm trying to preach here and you're distracting me. I'm just kidding. So,
24 through 25. Jesus, scripture.
Mark 5, 24 through 29.
24 through 29.
Please keep going.
So the similarity between all three, the thing that happens is that the followers of Jesus, the crowd, the disciples, were so packed tight that other people couldn't get in. Anybody know where my message is going from here? So,
Ooh, I do.
first, this is a 3-point message. It's about the crowd. Point 1, we're going to start off with, is be a crowd that allows people to see Christ through you. So Zacchaeus, first one is the plot of Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus just wanted to see Jesus. I'm out of breath now, I got excited. Give me a second.
Gotta do that cardio, man.
Huh? I don't have any cardio, you guys.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I'm bulky. Bulky.
Always.
Always bulky. You see the love handles. But, so, gosh dang it, where was I at?
Love handles.
Let it keep
No, I can't
going.
see people.
It's gonna be a crowd that's harder to see through.
Zacchaeus just wanted to see Jesus. That's it. He just wanted to see Jesus. But he couldn't because the crowd was packed in too tight for him to see him. So he had to climb a tree. And I was thinking like, okay, so Zacchaeus had that extreme faith that Wesley brought up to climb a tree. He didn't care about looking stupid or looking weird. Like a little kid that climbs a tree. He was a respectable dude. He's a tax collector. He made money. He had bank. It didn't matter. He was like, I want to see I want to see Jesus. So he climbed the tree. He had extreme faith. But what about the people that didn't have extreme faith? I just wanted to see Jesus. I'm out of breath again. I don't have to breathe when I'm speaking. So, Zacchaeus had extreme faith. But what about the people that were just walking that didn't have extreme faith? What are you laughing about?
I said, if you should sit down.
No, I get hyped. I don't want to sit down.
This is cardio for the day.
This is my cardio for the night. But because of his faith, he was able to climb a tree. He was able to see Jesus. But I got to thinking about what about the people that didn't have that faith that Zacchaeus had? What about the people that wanted to see God, but they were like, I'm not about to climb the tree. I'm not about to do what Zacchaeus did because I don't really care that much. What about the people that are like that in our lives? What about the people that want to see God, but they don't have the faith or the desire to go to church? The people that, they want to know about God, but they don't really care that much about it. And I got to thinking, what are some of the ways that I'm like the crowd? How many times do we block people from seeing Jesus because we're like the crowd? We're so focused on being a tight-knit group that we forget about the people on the outside, or we're so focused on only being a follower when we're at church, but we forget about when we're out at work and all that stuff. So I asked God, what are some of the ways that I block people of the world from seeing him? And that was a stupid question, because then he just wrecked me, and he said, remember that one time you're at work, or those few times you're at work, and you block people from seeing me because your attitude was bad, because you were just having a rough day, and I was blocking people from seeing Jesus because I wasn't acting like Jesus.
That's right.
Yeah.
What about the time that that guy cut me off, and then on his way to cut me off, he flipped me off, and then me being me, I may or may not have flipped him back off. And I may or may not have been like a little child. And I may or may not have had a Future Quest sticker on my car.
Oh no.
What about the times that I block people from seeing Jesus? And how many times do we do that on a daily basis? How many times do we block people from seeing Jesus when we're having a rough day? When we get into an argument with our spouse or our friends? How many times do we block Jesus on a regular basis? Okay, maybe I do need to sit down. Maybe I won't, though. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just take a drink of water. But I was reading more, and I was thinking, okay, I block Jesus a lot, but how do I bring people closer to him? Like, I want people to see me at all times. I want to be the person that is like throwing people at Jesus. Like, I want to be the person that's helping people on my shoulder so they can see Jesus. I want my life to reflect Jesus so they can see Jesus through me.
Yeah.
So, it's funny, the other night I was driving with Spencer and Jesse in my car, and I looked over and I was smiling. Looked over my shoulder because that's what you're supposed to do when you're driving, and Spencer's like, "Why are you smiling?" And I told him I had RCF. You know what RCF is? What's RCF?
Resting Christ face.
Resting Christian face. It's like RBF, but it's RCF. But the funny thing is, I didn't.
RCF. What's RCF? A resting Christian face.
Yeah, I didn't say that to myself. Like, I wasn't like, I just have RCF. Somebody told me that at work the other day. I have RCF. No joke. Somebody's like, dude, why are you always smiling? You have RCF. And I said, what the heck are you? He's like, resting Christian face. And I started busting up. But the thing is, we should all have RCF. Every single one of us should have RCF. We should have the joy of the Lord on us at all times.
Good, Jordan.
So we're always smiling. Thank you, Jesse. We're always smiling. We're always showing Christ through our joy, because our joy surpasses the trials of the day. The trials of having a bad day, the trials of getting cut off. Our joy surpasses those things, so we should have RCF at all times.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, that's the first story. How much time do we have? 8:42.
20 minutes.
So, that's the first part. That's the first point. Zacchaeus just wanted to see Jesus, but he couldn't because of the crowd. We need to be a crowd that allows people to see Jesus through us. Second point, this is the one that gets me the most because I'm a words of affirmation person. Somebody tells me, you do good. I'm like, yeah. And I get empowered by it. Somebody says, you suck. I cry. But in Mark 2, 1-4, they're talking about the man who gets lowered in through the roof. But he only had to get lowered in through the roof because the crowd was blocking him from getting healed by the words of God. Second point is be a crowd that speaks and people hear Jesus through you. So, men tore off the roof to hear Jesus say, pick up your mat and walk. How many people do we walk by on a daily basis do we know that need to hear pick up your mat and walk? Yeah. But it's not, maybe it's not even pick up your mat. Maybe it's not like, oh, I need to heal this person. But maybe it's pick up your security and walk in freedom. Maybe it's telling somebody, hey, you're not worthless. You're not useless. You're a child of God, and he loves you.
Yeah.
And you're cherished.
Yeah.
And you're a treasure. So with you being a treasure and you being a child of God, pick up your adoption papers and walk in the freedom of the Lord.
Yeah.
Amen.
How many people do we see on the streets? How many people do we know at work? How many people in our families need to hear pick up your mat and walk? We go day by day with people being crippled by the lies of the enemy.
Yeah.
And we just see them. And we just walk past them because we're doing our own thing. Or being a crowd that blocks people from the words of Christ. Because sometimes we're just too afraid to talk to them about Jesus. We're too afraid to tell them that they're loved. Tell them that they're cherished. Or maybe we just don't even think about it. Maybe we're just so focused on getting done what we need to get done that we completely missed that person who came into work that was sad, that was upset, or who's going through a loss, or, you know, they're in a divorce, or something's happening. We miss the big picture. We miss the person. We miss that heart that's hurting because we're focused on ourselves. We're focused on hearing God ourselves. We're focused on our own little square, our own little group, our own little people, that we miss the people on the outside that are trying to get in to hear the words of Christ. We miss the crippled people that need to hear, pick up your mat and walk. I'm doing this really fast because I want to challenge you guys at the end. That's actually really good that I'm getting through this fast.
Good job.
I didn't think I was going to be able to. So, third point. Second point is be a crowd that speaks and people hear Jesus in your words.
Yeah.
Third point. The lady who touched Jesus in the crowd had to push through the crowds. It says in the NASB, the reason why I had you guys read the NASB version is because it says she came up through the crowd. When you look up the word came up, in the Greek it means push through. She had to push through the crowd to touch Jesus. Meaning she had to use that extreme faith like all three of them did, like Wesley said. Good job, Wesley. But
I want that cigar.
I want that cigar. You'll get half a cigar.
No, you're right. Yeah.
But all three had to have that extreme faith. But the last one, it says that she pushed through the crowd. She made her way through the crowd, and she touched Jesus. But the thing is, people shouldn't have to be pushing through our crowd. People shouldn't have to be pushing through Christians to get a touch by Jesus. We should be touching them like Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the third point, final point, is be a crowd that shows affection so that people can see Christ. So people can feel Christ through you.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird to say show affection because a lot of us, like me, I don't like being touched. Don't touch me. I'm weird about that. But if a kid needs a hug, or if the kids that I'm working with just don't get affection, I'm the first one on that. What? You guys wouldn't believe how many angry kids, parents, men, women, adults, people that I work with have been so enraged, they've been so angry, but the second I put my arms around them, they break down.
Yeah.
They're done, they're crying, they're in tears. Because they just need that affection.
Yeah.
They need that touch. They need to feel the love of Christ through me. There's a lot of people that need to feel the love of Christ through you guys. And that we miss out on. So, we want so badly to remain in Jesus' territory, where it's comfortable and warm, that we forget that we have a mission to go outside and bring others into it. We forget that we need people to see Jesus through us. We need people to hear Jesus in our speech, and we need people to feel Jesus when we touch them. We need to be like Christ in all manners, and we need to be the crowd that gathers, not the crowd that is already gathered. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We need to be a crowd that gathers people, not a crowd that just gathers up. Not a crowd that blocks the sight, the voice, the touch of Jesus. We need to be the sight, the voice, and the touch of Jesus.
Yeah.
And there's three other things about that story. About those stories. There's three things about those stories. One, Zacchaeus was a tax collector. Here's one more thing you guys can try to put together. Zacchaeus was a tax collector. Second guy was a lame man. The third one was a woman who had a hemorrhage and she was bleeding. And you said the Greek behind it says it was a menstrual hemorrhage. Girls, sorry, but girls, I don't know how that stuff works. But it was a menstrual hemorrhage. It means that she would bleed more than, like, the reason why I'm saying sorry is because I'm going into detail about it now. She would bleed more than other women would on their period. But what do all three of those stories have in common? About the people now. Zacchaeus was a tax collector. The man was lame. And that woman was bleeding. They're outcasts. And Connie is killing it tonight. On fire. They were all outcasts.
She read your notes earlier when you handed her.
Did you really?
No. Why would I do that? When you gave me your phone to turn off the shake thing?
Yeah. So, third, the thing that they all had in correlation, the thing that they all had in common now about the people is that they were outcasts. They were outsiders. How much do we keep the outsiders and the outcasts on the outside? When we need to be bringing them in. They shouldn't have to have this extreme faith.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have to go climbing roofs or climbing trees or pushing through a crowd. We should be inviting them in.
Yeah.
With every single thing we do, we should, our actions and our words should be inviting people in and bringing them in. I think of Josh Simmons. When Josh picks, like, I see Josh throw these kids, these little Elko and South little ghetto hood rat kids, and he throws them around and they just keep coming back to him. And I think of, like, I got a vision, I don't know why, but it was of Josh just picking up these kids and just throwing them, and Jesus was on the other side catching them and just putting them down. And Jesus was throwing them, and Jesus would catch them and put them down. And it was such a sick vision because the way it is, Josh would pick these kids up. He wouldn't leave them on the outside, these kids that don't have parents, these kids that don't have family, these kids that don't have love. He'd pick them up and he would throw them to Jesus, and Jesus would accept them and put them by his side. And the crowd got bigger, and the crowd got bigger, and the crowd doesn't stop growing. And as long as we're doing these things, as long as we're picking people up and we're throwing them at Jesus, as long as we're touching people, as long as we're speaking life into people, as long as we're letting people see Jesus through our actions, the crowd is never going to stop growing.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
That's what we need to be excited about. People need to see Jesus, they need to hear Jesus, and they need to feel Jesus in his followers.
Yeah.
So, want to grab your guitar?
Falling over. You're like sweating right now.
Dude, I sweat all the time.
Oh God!
Sorry, I just threw you guys off the mood. So,
You're on camera too, so just so.
that's all right. But, you guys, in what ways do we fail as a crowd? In what ways do we fail to allow people to see Jesus when we're angry? What ways do we fail? You can turn the lights. Hit the lights. Yeah. In what ways do we fail as a crowd to speak Jesus in everything we do? To speak life into people? To speak joy and to speak kindness and to speak gentleness into people? To respond with gentleness, to respond in kindness with people? How many times do we miss the opportunity to touch or to hug somebody that's just broken and they need that touch and they need that affection and they need to feel Jesus through you? How many times are we just so focused on our little crowd? Are we focused on being gathered in that we miss the outsiders? If you guys fail on any of those parts and you need to work on any of those parts, can we turn the lights on more?
Yes, sir.
Maybe up a little bit more than that. Just a tiny bit for a second. If you guys fail on any of those parts, if you fail on allowing people to see Jesus through you, or speaking Jesus, or giving the affection of Christ, raise your hand, and the people that aren't raising your hand, pray for the people around you. If you fail on any of those parts and you need to work on, or you want to work on, or you want to get better at just a few of those things, put your hand up. If your hand is up, I think everybody's hand is up. You know, why don't we all stand up?
My bad.
Sorry.
I'm just going to pray over us. And then we're going to go into worship. Jesus, right now, God, we come together, we're followers of you, but we don't want to be followers that block you.
Yeah.
Lord, we want to be followers that people see through us, that see you through us, that hear you through us, that feel you through us. So God, right now, we ask for opportunities to come and for us to have boldness and courageousness to seize those opportunities and to do your will.
Yeah.
Lord, we ask for excitement and encouragement, Lord, and expectancy that you're going to show up and use us daily when we're waiting on it and we're ready for it. You guys, put your hands up one more time if you want that. Now turn to each other and pray for each other. You can just pray. You can tell the person what you want to work on the most. Just pray.